This is Tuesday, January 26, 2021. It is 9:30 a.m. Ms. Huerta, please call roll.
Chairman Billy Lerma.
Here.
Board members Roland Barrera.
Here.
Barbara Canales is absent. Paulette Guajardo.
Huerta,
Present.
please
Gil
call roll.
Hernandez.
Here.
Michael Hunter.
Here.
Oh, good. Okay. Susan Hutchison.
Here.
John Martinez.
Here.
Ben Molina.
Present.
Mike Pusley. James Sedgwick. Greg Smith. Mr. Smith? I know he's online. I don't know if his mic is muted.
He is.
Okay. Well,
Here.
oh, there he is. Good.
Here.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
It was muted.
Very
Yeah.
good. Okay, Mr. Smith is here, so we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. Do we have any written public comments been received? Ms.
No,
Huerta?
sir, not at this
No.
time.
Okay. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the October 27th of 2020 on a regular meeting.
So move. Second.
Been moved and second. All those in A? Say A.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Noes? Motion passes. Item 2. Item E, we have no financial report, okay.
No, there's no
Oh,
action
well, We
required.
will have a financial report?
Yes.
Okay.
No action. Good morning. My name is Constance Sanchez. I'm the city's chief financial officer, and your financial report can be found behind tab 2 in your agenda packet. This is for the 2 months ended November 30th, 2020. Our beginning fund balance, which would be as of October the 1st, 2020, was $5,219,932. Our revenues for those 2 months are $132,827. Our expenditures were $168,837, with the ending fund balance at November 30th of 2020 of $5,183,922. Of that amount, we have committed $4,784,027, leaving a balance available for commitments of $399,895. On the next page, you find a detail of the committed, your commitments to date. And this is for the next 5 years, and it's by fiscal year. And then behind this page, there is an individual page for each of our programs, which includes our project-specific programs, the Chaparral Street Grant Program, Downtown Living Initiative, New Tenant Finish-Out Program, and the Streetscape and Safety Improvement Program. And so they are detailed out by project in the pages that follow. And so this, page 3, is a summary page. And then finally, the last page of your report is a cash flow report, which shows our current 12 months, and then projecting out into the next 12 months. And so that concludes the financial report, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions, Board? Councilman Pusley?
Yeah, I would just say generally, since there are some new people to the council, that maybe at one of the up-and-coming TIRZ meetings, we could have an update. I was here for some of these projects when they started, but have an update on each one of the projects and, where
Yes,
they
sir.
are,
Sure.
if they're complete, those sort of things. I think that'd be really good for the new council members.
Yes, sir. Yes, we'll make sure to have that.
Any further questions?
Yeah, Councilman Pusley, in fact, we have an item on the agenda today that will provide an update. Is that right, Alyssa? Yeah.
Yes, sir, it's the very
Yeah, there's
last
a-
item on the agenda.
Yeah, the last item on today's agenda will provide an update on the major projects that are funded with the TIRZ.
Okay?
Yes,
very
sir.
good.
And if there's other ones that you want an update on, we can get them, but I think that's a pretty exhaustive list that they'll go over today.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
all right, very good, thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions? Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
At this time, the board will go into executive session. on item 3 and 4 per Texas Government Code, Section 551.071 and 551.087. It is 9:35. We are in executive session.
answer to your question about what can we do to facilitate development.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, never mind, we're back. I'll hold it.
No, we're open. Okay. Okay. We're back? We're okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Chairman, I have two motions to make.
Yes, sir.
First is a motion authorizing a downtown development agreement, development reimbursement agreement with Aaron Pineda in an amount not to exceed $39,000 under the new tenant commercial finish-out program for improvements to the property located at 424 Schatzel. And then I have another motion authorizing a downtown development reimbursement agreement with Stonewater Properties, Schatzel, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $20,000 under the new tenant commercial finish-out program for mechanical, electrical, and plumbing improvements to the property located at 424 Schatzel.
And those are both related to item number 3. So
Second.
for item number 3.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second
Fuzzy
this Rowland.
seconds.
Aye.
All-
Or did somebody, am I hearing things? Sorry, I thought you said
Motion
all
and
those.
second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Chairman, I also have a motion for item number 4, and that is a motion authorizing an amendment to the downtown development reimbursement agreement with the 600 Building LLC, which amends Section 3B of the agreement to extend the deadline to obtain financing for the project until July 31st, 2021.
I'll second that motion.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question real quickly to, before we vote on that? I just want to have, Alyssa? Can you, can you give me I know we're just extending it, but can you remind us what the total investment per unit is for the 600 building?
Yes, sir. With for the pure construction costs, not including
Just
the
overall,
historic.
overall our investment.
Oh, our investment per unit, 25,000 per unit.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any
Mr.
other
Chairman.
questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you, Alyssa, for that. Keep up the good work. Keep being aggressive, because we need that downtown filled. Okay, moving to agenda item number 5. Motion to elect a vice chair to the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone Number 3 Board. Board members, I open the floor for nominations for the vice chair of the board. Are there any
Mr. Chairman,
nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mike Pusley. This is Roland Barrera.
Who is this?
I'd like to second that.
It's Roland Barrera.
Roland, okay, I
He
couldn't
nominated
understand.
Mike Pusley. It's hard to hear, and Michael Hunter. We don't need a second for nominations, but that is the nomination on the floor right now.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Floor ceases on nominations. All those, please signify by saying aye for Michael Pusley.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Welcome aboard, Mike. Yes, sir. Just like I do, okay? Okay. Thank you for accepting, Mike. Item 6 on the agenda, motion approving tax increment reinvestment zone number 3 board meeting calendar.
Good morning, Chairman, board members. Randy Almaguer, Senior Management Analyst. As Chairman said, this is item number 6, motion to approve the TIRZ 3 board meeting calendar. So we are proposing for April, July, and October on the 4th Tuesday of the month at 9:30 a.m. And for June, we're recommending the 5th Tuesday of the month at 9:30 a.m. Now, if any agenda items do increase or the need arises to call additional meetings due to a time-sensitive item during the non-scheduled month, meetings will be scheduled accordingly. That concludes my presentation.
Does the board have any questions?
Yes, Rebecca, do these dates fall in line with, we had some dates where we weren't going to be having council meetings, or these all match up?
Yes, sir. They all
Okay.
match.
I'm good. Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. I have a motion and I have a second. All those, any questions? All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 7, motion approving amendment number 1 to the Downtown Development Reimbursement Agreement for Produce Art Gallery. Staff, you have the report?
Good morning, board members. Jason Alanis, Economic Development Manager for the DMD. The next project that we're bringing forth is the First Amendment to Produce Art Gallery located at 419 People Street. This will be asking for a 6-month extension for the developer for their completion date to be done on or before July 31st of this year. This project is it's an art gallery and studio space. Formerly, this location was it was called Hank's Lounge. It was a real dive bar. Upon entrance of the space, we really realized there was a lot of things that weren't probably properly permitted. You know, this is a decades-old bar, and there were some issues specifically with the plumbing. Upon their partial reroute, the plumber discovered there was some significant damage underneath the building with the plumbing, so they had to do a full reroute with tunneling involved. This has essentially significantly delayed the project. But they're still moving forward. They're fully committed. They just need additional time for this project. Stand by for any questions.
Any questions, board?
Move to approve.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Moving along to item 8, motion amending the project and financing plan for reinvestment zone number 3 to expand the Chaparral Street Property Improvement Program to include North Mesquite Street and amending the new commercial tenant finish out programs to allow administration approval by the city manager or designee of certain grants not to exceed $10,000. Alyssa?
Thank you, Chairman Lerma. Board members, Elizabeth Etta Mason, Executive Director of the Downtown Management District. If I could please have the presentation request for update to incentives pulled up. This item is a request to expand and refine our incentives. We administer the incentives based upon the parameters established in the project and financing plan. And it's a balance between being nimble and flexible and being able to work with creatives and accommodate everything that they come up with quickly, and being able to administer a program. So we walk that line very well. This item before you is a request to modify the existing programs that we administer to make them a little bit more flexible, a little bit more nimble, and hopefully catch a few more projects during this fiscal year. Next slide. So again, these are the incentives that we administer. We have the new commercial tenant finish out grant program, up to $10 a square foot reimbursement. The qualifying categories are for dining, entertainment, mixed use development. It needs to be a first floor active street location. We can reimburse for permanent and semi-permanent fixtures. The space has to be currently vacant. And then we have that additional incentive to the landlord if there's MEP work done to make that space habitable. We budget $100,000 annually, and the parameters are 30% of the project costs plus that incentive to the landlord. We then have the Chaparral Street Property Improvement Grant Program, up to 50-50 reimbursement for improvements on Chaparral Street related to occupying a vacant structure. We have a $200,000 bucket, and we max that out at $100,000 for a project. We then have the Downtown Living Initiative, which is $10,000 rebate for multifamily units. That must be a 3-unit or more development, and we have a limitation of 100 units annually. And then we have that project-specific development agreement. That's up to 75% rebate of the tax increment for the costs related and listed in the qualifying categories. So we are requesting today a modification to the new commercial tenant finish out and the Chaparral Street program in order to make them more flexible. Next slide. So on the new tenant, again, it's the $10 a square foot. We are requesting to add an administrative approval component. We scaled it up at the last review, identifying that there were buildings that needed more work. But we've also identified that there are some micro spaces, smaller scale projects, things under $20,000, where they want to move quickly. And with moving to quarterly meetings, it'll be a little difficult to tell them to wait to come to this board meeting. So once we did this with the streetscape incentive, the facade improvement, we've been able to administer that seamlessly, get improvements done, get them out the door, get the agreement signed, and get that funding tangibly visible right in the downtown area. So we'll be requesting to do this with the new commercial tenant. It improves the processes, allows us to expedite small projects, and responds to demand and system changes. So we have, I think, 2 or 3 projects right now that I think would take almost immediate advantage of this mechanism if the board were to approve it. The next slide, Chaparral Street recommendation. So you see here, a map of the downtown area. We know what buildings are vacant, we know what their use is, and you can see there was a large density of vacant buildings along Chaparral Street. We have identified an opportunity. We've been developing relationships with the property owners, and have identified that there are some properties on Mesquite Street that have been vacant for decades, not a single decade, decades, that are interested in doing something with their property. We thought the Chaparral Street program was the best mechanism to assist in doing that. So we're requesting to expand that to Mesquite Street, to pick up those properties. You can see I don't know if you can tell on the map. The first road on the left is Mesquite, the one that's very long, and then the next one is Chaparral Street. Chaparral is a main street. It was the original main street, the original commerce corridor, so that's what we focus on, restoring that main street effect. But once we have the opportunity to work with some buildings on Mesquite Street, really around La Retama Park, we'd like to take advantage of that opportunity. So that is why we're requesting a modification there. And then we would retitle that, but that is just kind of an administrative thing that we would do to make it a little more reflective of how the program operates. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, board? No?
Yeah, I do have one question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Gil?
Okay, in terms of the first recommendation, administrative approval up to $10,000, there needs to be some sort of reporting mechanism as to what approvals you would do administratively. So you would have to have something like bringing the approvals that you did do to this board, so they can take a look and see what was actually done and who was provided to, and just for verification processes. So I don't have an issue with this. I just think there's got to be a reporting process to it.
Absolutely, yes, sir, and especially as we switch to quarterly. So we can definitely add that as our quarterly report, kind of an update on the projects, how they're going along, and then what we've administered administratively during
Right,
the
and
preceding
this
quarter.
this should benefit you as well in the sense of letting us know what you're doing, and give us, we can give you kudos for it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a question I had. Thank you.
Good question, thank you. Any other questions, board? I entertain motion.
Second.
Approve. Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, thank you. Okay, moving on to presentation item 9, the Corpus Christi Downtown Management District FY 2020 Annual Report. Ms. Mason?
Yes, sir. If I could please have the DMD TIRZ 3 annual report. Thank you. Again, Elizabeth Mason, Executive Director of the Downtown Management District. This item is our annual reporting requirement to the Downtown Reinvestment Zone Board. We typically make this presentation to this board, who comprises the City Council plus county and a DMD appointee, so that we eliminate duplication. We do this presentation at this meeting, and then it doesn't necessarily go on to council. So that's just for informational purposes about why we're going to be giving this here. We will be releasing a State of Downtown video. Typically, we'll have a mixer, and it'll be a big, fun celebration about what we've accomplished in the previous year, but we're not really doing that right now. So we'll be releasing that video later later this week. And then this is that administrative report component. You should also have the report itself in your packet for this meeting. So this is a brief presentation. I will also be doing a quick overview of the reinvestment zone, the DMD, how it all works together, especially for the benefit of our new board members. But it's always nice to just have a refresher. So we've combined that all into this presentation. Next slide. So this slide I use really to set the scene on how we talk about downtown. We are hyper aware at the DMD that downtown and its condition is important to the entire community. And we found that really well synthesized in this quote from a book called Walkable City, How Downtowns Can Save America One Step at a Time, by renowned urbanist Jeff Speck. So it states, I'll just read it for you. The downtown is the only part of the city that belongs to everybody. It doesn't matter where you find your home, the downtown is yours too. Investing in the downtown of a city is the only place-based way to benefit all of its citizens at once. And there's more. Every relocation decision, be it a college graduates or corporations, is made with an image of a place in mind. That image is palpable and it is powerful. It is resolutely physical, a picture of buildings, streets, squares, cafes, and the social life that those places engender. Whether good or bad, that image is hard to shake. And with rare exception, that image is downtown. And I think that applies very well to Corpus Christi and downtown Corpus Christi. Our marina, our seawall, our skyline are very iconic, and there's a great promise of a wonderful experience. But over the years, downtown's condition has disintegrated, and so we're really working on strategically bringing that back one parcel at a time, knitting that all together, not just because we really like downtown, but because this really is our competitive advantage as a community, and if it's not representing us properly, we're really missing a lot of opportunity. So we think this really is an important element of the economic development strategy for our community, and we're very honored to be charged with really implementing it. Next slide. So about the DMD, our organization, the mechanism and the vehicle for our organization is a municipal management district. It is it's actually a local government entity. It was established in 1993 when the property owners voted to create it and levy a tax upon themselves. So downtown property owners pay a tax rate higher than the rest of the city. The boundary for the Marina Arts District, as it was retitled in 2015, is I-37 to Kinney and Lower Broadway out to the marina. Now the marina is city-owned, so there isn't any assessment, any levy for the marina facilities. I think we'll be working in partnership with the new marina director to figure out how we can deploy resources and assist in the development of that world-class asset. But that is how it is structured. In 2013, the property owners voted to renew to 2023, and in 2015, the DMD rebranded that core area, the Marina Arts District, freeing up the term downtown to refer to what is actually kind of our greater downtown area. So I think here, locals, right, we utilize the term uptown and we act like it's a completely different neighborhood. It really is just downtown on top of a hill. So by identifying that, by identifying and packaging downtown the way that somebody who didn't, grow up here sees it, we're able to really expand and unlock a lot of opportunity related to revitalizing it and making it accessible. In 2016, the DMD was contracted to serve the Downtown Reinvestment Zone, this board, and we've continued to expand that relationship. So the DMD boundary is identified in the white hatched out line. The TIRZ boundary. White hatched out line goes all the way to Tonkawa, down to Morgan, up to the ship channel, and out to the marina. And then the DMD core boundary is that pink part in the middle. This hybrid model we have found very successful locally. So the board is, our DMD board remains the property owners, and then we are also accountable to this board, the Downtown Reinvestment Zone. Next slide. Our mission, of course, is to create a beautiful, successful, vibrant Bayfront Seaside District, rebranded Marina Arts, and positively impact the greater downtown area by proactively and strategically working with our partners too. We have 4 main areas of operation: creating a cleaner, safer, more beautiful, and accessible downtown, developing and improving the district, marketing and promoting the district, and then building and managing an effective dynamic organization. So everything that we do at the DMD fits in one of those 4 categories, and this is a best practice. We've been nationally accredited as this is a standard how these professional organizations function. Next slide. And as I mentioned, we are doing the presentation here because, as you can see, as time has gone on, the TIRZ funding has grown to be about half of our organizational budget. We have the history back into FY10. You can see that we've deployed more resources through the downtown. There was a period in time where our organization had less than around a $300,000 budget. That was not our most effective time. When my predecessor arrived, he started working with corporations to garner additional support funding. The city's levy, the city's dollar for dollar match, was honored in FY16, and moving forward, it has been every year. Additionally, the city provides $100,000 for off-duty police patrol programs, so that safety and security component is very important. And then additionally, we have the fundraising and then the reinvestment zone contracts. So you can see it's all here in a pie chart as well as a table. Next slide. Our organization is also charged with implementing the Downtown Area Development Plan. The Downtown Area Development Plan was written in 2014, finally adopted by the council in 2018. It is an action-oriented, market-driven strategy to generate economic growth. It builds on past planning efforts and current investment, and the goal is to establish Corpus Christi as a premier 21st century waterfront city in Texas with safe, vibrant, walkable, and connected districts in which people live, work, learn, and play. So we are charged with the implementation of the Downtown Area Development Plan. Next slide. And here are some of the vision themes from the Downtown Area Development Plan. If you have been involved and wanted downtown to develop, you've probably seen a multitude of planning initiatives go underway. And one of the challenges that we find with revitalization with downtown is it seems that our community really couldn't come to a consensus on our vision for downtown. So this plan really identified that from the kind of unsuccessful efforts of previous plans and identified different themes, so vision themes, things that people kept saying what they wanted to see downtown. And they didn't attempt necessarily to unify all of it. They said, work on these 5 things. So we've been working on implementing those, and I think we've found success. So I'll walk through them with you right now. Of course, encourage market-driven development, which is what we do with the incentives. Create more housing choices, which is also what we do. To Councilman Lerman's point earlier, we may want to undertake market demand, residential demand analysis, and maybe budget that biannually so we can keep our information fresh and attractive to investors. Complete a waterfront park and trail network. People really commented on our natural resources and trying to make them accessible. Reconnecting neighborhoods, especially those that were disconnected from the Harbor Bridge construction. And finally, celebrating this unique place to live, work, and play. So arts, events, that also surfaced as a theme frequently whenever this plan was written. Next slide. Here is an image. We think this really shares the vision for downtown. You can see that this is actually a rendering of Chaparral Street. When this image was rendered, Chaparral was still one way. Artesian Park was very run down. There was no development. Things were just in a very poor way. So some of the things we've been able to accomplish, we've converted Chaparral to a 2-way road. That created a lot of revitalization and positive energy. We've spent money in Artesian Park putting lights in the park, improving the landscaping. We've worked with the Ritz to get a roof on the building to stabilize it so that it does not continue to rot from the inside out. And some of the vacant parcels that here are shown as developed have sold. So there was a period in time where a property owner owned 14 acres in the downtown area and would only sell them as a unit. He has started to sell them off individually. So we're seeing, slowly but surely that development is happening, and we're able to implement this rendering, which back in 2014 seemed a long way off. Next slide. I only have 2 more slides about the mechanics, and then I'll provide the highlights about what we've accomplished in the last fiscal year. So I wanted to provide this. Additionally, one of the things that we realized is there are these kind of large initiatives, for instance, parking, organized parking. And as we try to implement them and turn them from a concept, an idea, into a tangible thing, we'll bring something back multiple times. So for instance, our parking plan, we commissioned that and had that written back in 2016. There's now a 12-step action item for us to implement. So we'll probably bring back things related to parking over and over and over again until it's complete. It's not that we've already done it, it's that as we get more to a tangible project, it gets more specific. So I wanted to provide this process map so you can see how it gets from kind of just a concept to a tangible thing. And we've really mapped it out for every area of operation. So from incentive projects to improvement projects to parking. We've provided here just information for the board to understand how those mechanics work. Next slide. And we also plan in strategic plans and then annual service plans as the state requires and as this agreement with this board requires. So this is our planning iteration. The Downtown 2020 plan, we did have to extend that for a year because of COVID-19. It was our intention to rewrite a strategic plan over the past summer, but it was, our businesses were really in a poor way and no one on our board was particularly energized on that when they were really just focused on survival. So we will be doing that here in this coming spring and summer and have a new strategic plan to implement. But again, for informational purposes, especially for our new board members, we wanted to provide this information. Next slide. Okay, now that we've gone over all the mechanics and hopefully provided good insight on how the DMD operates in partnership with the reinvestment zone, I'd like to go over some highlights for what we accomplished in 2020. Next slide. Our first area of operation, district operations, we continue to provide that 8-member clean team. We installed cigarette butlers throughout downtown in partnership with the Coastal Bend Council of Governments. We also installed dog waste stations whenever that we had an influx of dog owners in the downtown area. It created a little bit of mayhem for a moment, and so we responded with that program. We purchased new uniforms and got new branding and freshened that up with the clean team. We facilitated the Artesian Park Improvement Project in partnership with the reinvestment zone, the port, Voestalpine, and then we hosted an electrical box mural competition. So that beautification element you see with the Artesian Park and the electrical box murals, I think it created a lot of positive buzz for downtown and really indicated that revitalization continued despite the challenges that we were facing with the COVID-19 crisis. Next slide. Our downtown clean team keeps meticulous metrics. So these are the statistics really going back into the creation of the clean team. It was started in fiscal year 14. Here are the stats. They're out 7 days a week. You can see there was a reduction in bags of debris collected, of course, during the pandemic. We had an increase in biohazard cleanup, so there was more individuals out on the streets than we typically see. So we'll be working with the city on figuring out how to tactically address that. As well as an increase in landscaping. We did increase efficiencies, so you can see that even during the pandemic, our activities per hour were up to 7.3, and we've continued to increase those efficiencies since the creation of the clean team. Next slide. Under development and improvement, we've continued to manage our TIRZ 3 incentives. We facilitated 7 facade improvements through that streetscape program. We worked with the city. We had great partnership and support from the city. We had actually never been able to figure this out before. So with the city manager's leadership and the direction and the support of all the other city staff, we were able to finally facilitate sidewalk cafes that assisted our businesses and created their ability to operate during COVID-19. We then worked with A&M, of course. They established a downtown presence by purchasing the building that our office is currently in. So that was a great accomplishment that has been talked about for a very long time. And we had a record reduction in vacant storefronts and entirely vacant buildings right before the pandemic. We were at the best occupancy that we had been in modern history. So we'll hopefully get back to that point very soon. Next slide. Here is the map, Board Member Pusley, that we were referring to. We track all of our incentive projects that we have facilitated. We track them on a map. On the next slide, we'll actually have the funding levels, but you can see the pink are catalytic projects under development. The development process is sometimes very long, but these are the projects that we are continuing to advocate and push for at every opportunity. And then the aqua are all the projects that are completed and have been delivered to the market. So we stop, Chelsea Marie Boutique, Bus, the Goldfish, all of those projects have been completed and are operational with this board's support. Next slide. So here are some before and after photos. We have this. Next slide. to this. So the Marriott Residence Inn was developed on a previously vacant lot. The Goldfish was even relaunched. It was purchased, it was upgraded, significant investment was made to that. And then on the bottom, that photo is of Rancho V Apartments that had been damaged from a fire and had been vacant for about 4 years before the current property owner picks it up and decided to put those back into the market, again with the assistance of this board. So here are a list of the projects that opened this year: the Marriott Residence Inn, Edward Jones, Shops at K-Space, Rancho V Apartments, Oasis Market in the First Community Bank Building, Dokyo Phase 1, and then we have a number of relaunches, so things that significant investment was made in, like Aka Sushi, the Goldfish, Oyster Bar, Sushi Room, Produce Sound Studios, and Produce Retail. Next slide. And the really important component, especially to this board, is since the creation of our incentives, we have facilitated an increase in $33 million in ad valorem value. So whenever we first started the incentives, one of the reasons we did so was because the TIRZ was just not producing. Its first year, I think it had thrown off $50,000, and we were up to maybe $300 by the time we created the incentives. So really nothing was happening. We created the incentives to catalyze, get the mechanism rolling, and we found that it has been successful, and we've continued to modify them and use them to facilitate development. We do have our first really kind of larger scale project funded from the TIRZ. Oftentimes, the focus is to facilitate right-of-way improvements, so we do have one underway right now, the conversion of the streets adjacent to shoreline. The former one-way roads that created a lot of havoc was our #1 complaint in the DMD. We are getting that corrected. The TIRZ was able to fund the milling and overlaying of those streets, which are really poor condition. So without the TIRZ funding, we would have just spray painted them. It really would have been a poor look. But because we've finally been able to get this mechanism working appropriately, we're able to utilize $400,000 in TIRZ funding to get all those improved. So that's really how the reinvestment zone should work. Next slide. Communication and events, we want to drive attention to downtown, increase brand awareness, make it fun, make people, excited about coming downtown. So we developed a downtown Corpus Christi shopping guide. We launched a self-guided driving tour of the electrical box murals, encouraging people to come and take photos with the electrical boxes, get some food, right, to go while they were down there. So that was a big feature for us over the summer. We hit 15,000 followers on Instagram. We are now at 17.5 thousand followers on Instagram. That is quite a feat, especially for our target market. We really want people in Corpus Christi to feel that downtown is cool in their 20s. We feel that, when it comes to the life cycle of a resident, that's really the time people are looking for that urban experience. And if we can really kind of solidify their position in Corpus Christi during that time frame, we potentially have a lifetime citizen. So that's another role, right, that downtown plays in the overall economic health of our community. And people in their 20s really like Instagram, so that's kind of bringing that idea home. Art Walk was selected as the winner in the Best Date Night category for the Ben's Locals list. We celebrated our 100th Bridge Walk. That is an event where we actually suspended that due to COVID, but we invite people to walk over the bridge. There's usually about 400 participants. And we launched a holiday event series. Now, this is a fiscal year report, so FY 2020 was actually when we launched that holiday event series, Expanded Lights in Artesian Park. We've now conducted our 3rd holiday event series. We think it's getting bigger each year, and we'll continue to work to expand it into the next year. But we also created the Downtown Corpus Christi Coloring Book. Next slide. And specifically and related to COVID-19, we sprung into action programmatically, attempting to draw people to our downtown businesses because people's habits completely changed. So we launched a support local curbside program right before, the restaurants were forced to shut down their dining rooms. Whenever it came time, things were allowed to open up again. We had welcome back signage throughout the district with guidance, stay 6 feet, wash your hands, wear your mask. If everyone recalls, it was very strange to kind of adapt to that back over the summer, but we wanted to provide that leadership and just make people feel comfortable with it's okay to wear a mask, you don't have to feel strange about it. We really forced that message home. We also launched a virtual hybrid Art Walk and Bridge Walk. We've heard positive feedback. People really enjoyed that we continued to have that event virtually. We had the vendors that are usually in the park online, so we had their online shops, their Etsy shops. We would feature them. We would have specials with the restaurants. So we really tried to kind of keep that programming, and we got positive feedback fact, some people told us it was one of the only things that was still normal for them during the pandemic. So that was really left an impression on us that we have that impression on our citizens. And additionally, we collaborated with social media influencers to promote social media campaigns, bucket lists, support local t-shirts, really just trying to create ways for people to engage, support local business, kind of make a game out of it, especially when everyone was at home, kind of hunkering down. We wanted them to stay safe, but we wanted our businesses to also stay in operation. So I think we did a pretty successful job of that. Next slide. And then on an organizational management component, we raised $102,000 in the advisory council. That's a record for us with corporate partnerships. Again, this is that third leg of our partnership. We have the property owners, we have the public entities, and then we have the corporations. And everyone's invested in the rehabilitation of downtown. And that really is a best practice. It really makes it kind of a shared undertaking in the community. We also learned National Main Street accreditation for the first time in our organization's history. We responded to COVID-19, so we had everyone ready to work remotely. We did not take any time off. I think our work really doubled during the pandemic because we were trying to continue revitalization and also respond to this global pandemic that was, appending our standard business models. We had a clean financial audit. And then, of course, for 6 months, I served as the interim CEO of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, as well as leading the DMD here. So I think from an organizational standpoint, we, worked on building excellence, and we accomplished that. Next slide. So for 2021, we have engaged a retail recruiter. We are starting a new approach for recruitment. We've never done that before in the history of this organization. So we are going to be looking to partner with state, national brands that are well capitalized, maybe have a group of investors behind them that are looking for markets to break into. We've never really engaged there. So we have that underway right now. Additionally, we are going to be hiring a urban planner with the volume of projects that we have the opportunity to do through the reinvestment zone. Our organization did not have that capacity. So we are hiring the planner to build out that capacity, bring someone with that expertise that can help us make sure that we're delivering really high quality right-of-way projects, public work projects to the community, and also not hampering, the city system with projects like $100,000 in a park. I don't think that, the engineering services department, they have a lot of bond projects and other very large things to plan and manage and implement and design. So we're a local government entity. We're actually authorized to do that under our chapter of the local government code. So we're building out that capacity. And then programming will continue to focus on finding ways for people to engage downtown, bringing the residents out, trying to make them feel safe. One of the programs that we've run, really kind of following the city manager's leadership with the fitness initiative, we started a downtown run club. It's on Wednesdays. It's at 5:30. But again, we're seeing that kind of Instagram crowd come out. We launched it on Friday. We had 40 participants the next Wednesday. So it was really nice, organic. And people, again, were saying they were just really appreciative to have a reason to come downtown. So we'll continue to work very hard towards revitalization during this unprecedented time. Happy to answer any questions.
Is that 5:30 a.m. or p.m.?
PM. There is a, yes, ma'am.
Ooh, okay. I might come.
In true downtown fashion, there's actually a happy hour afterwards. So we're trying to kind of normalize and get people out again to our bars and restaurants.
Well, I have a comment, Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Wow. You've done so much, and this partnership is critical to, revitalizing as we're doing downtown. So I just want to say thank you because you have pivoted, on the dime because we had to. And I think that your leadership serves, exactly what happened and why because of how you led that team. But if we didn't know better, we'd think you had about 20 people under you working. You guys are accomplishing a lot. I'm just very proud. I'm very proud and know that we depend on, there is a dependence on your team and what you're doing because I think all of us up here care about, downtown. I mean, it's crucial. So thank you for what you're doing. I'm very interested, and I think you probably have an email from me to sit down and look at some of these things you mentioned in terms of working with the planners for the future and what that looks like, that vision. So thank you very much, though, for the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor.
Board Member Molina, you have a question? Comment?
Alyssa, you and your team have been a downtown dynamo in revitalizing downtown, and I appreciate your efforts, and I'm looking forward to being supportive of those. because I know that you guys are diligent, you work hard, and that you guys think outside the box, and you really make the effort to maximize those limited resources that you do have, and you take advantage of that. So thank you and your team for all the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any other comments? Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, Alyssa, thank you. Nice presentation, by the way, thank you. You did mention something that brought up a conversation I had with Councilman Pusley, and he might expand on this, with regards to the downtown area development plan, which also includes the Hillcrest and Washington Coles area. Now, I know from discussions that is not necessarily part of your purview, but it is part of the downtown area development plan. Is this something that we need to remove or change and look at it? Because in reading the downtown area development plan, there's kind of unrealistic expectations for those areas. Can you provide some of your thought process on what we can do, or if that needs to be changed or maybe included, or what are your thoughts on it?
Yes, sir. Well, I believe, that really kind of goes to the comments that I made earlier about the challenge with the unified vision for our downtown area. So regards to the authority that we have through the management district and the reinvestment zone that both have those boundaries, we really hit the ground running when the downtown area development plan was still in draft form, working to get some of those components implemented, so that we kind of got away from the comment about downtown plans sitting on a shelf, because sometimes, when you're coming at it such a kind of a high level, a citywide level, until you resolve some of those issues, it's difficult to get to implementation. So I couldn't really speak to the best approach. If that was something, I wanted to take I don't want to kind of answer off the cuff on that. I can't explain how we've made progress with the areas that we're charged with. And it was really just kind of buckling down, having the initiative, recognizing it needed to be done, and wanting to be the ones to do it. So I really can't speak to those other areas of the downtown area development plan.
Okay, I wanted to get your perspective on
Yes,
it. I think it's something that we'll need to look at. It's probably not part of this TIRZ, but it's, it is part of the downtown area development plan.
Absolutely. And I think too, Councilman, the challenge is just such a large geographic space. So if we can really get in a good stride with the core boundary, the Marina Arts District, the Marina, the C District, and we really have kind of a burgeoning amount of development going on, I think naturally those surrounding districts, right, it'll make a little bit more sense. It's difficult to see now because right now there's a lot of vacancy. But we're being really strategic and aggressive, and I appreciate, the expanded support of this board and us being flexible, because when we started this process, we had to be very rigid, really just to build up the confidence for the board and us, doing this incentive work. So as we get better at it, I think we'll be able to generate more activity, and hopefully that can bleed out. So I kind of leave with that parting thought.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other comments? Councilman Pusley?
Yes, great job, as usual, Rebecca. Just to expand a little bit on what Councilman Hernandez is talking about, I don't think we're trying to put you on the spot with respect to development in the area he's speaking of, but I have a concern about that area being in the downtown plan, because there could be the thought that we would want to promote residential housing of any kind in that area. And as you know, the Port of Corpus Christi has spent a lot of money removing homes from that area because of the closeness of proximity to the industry, heavy industry, and what that's going to grow to be. So I think in the future, we need to have a discussion about that as a council, about what we want to happen, Peter, and that includes areas like Donna Park subdivision and all those old historic residential areas along the industrial corridor as they transition into a more industrial location. We want to be sure that investors who are coming in here to look at things such as affordable housing and that sort of thing, that we're going to have to, while I support affordable housing 100%, and think we should work a very strong relationship with companies like Thanksgiving Homes, for example, that I brought up at our last meeting. We just need to be careful that we get the message out clearly about some of these areas that are not going to be conducive for residential development. To shift gears just a minute, I wanted to ask you, have we looked at or talked about, we've done pretty well on bringing apartments into the downtown area, and those types of things, and I think we're doing better, and I think to answer Mr. Councilman Lerma's question, I think those rates will come up as they come. When we build it, they'll come, and I think the 600 building is going to be a great opportunity for us to prove that. Has there been any talk about a condominium type development in downtown Corpus Christi? Because it seems like our condominiums either get developed up on the hill or way out toward the university. And I just think that there's an opportunity here for us to bring a different kind of living to downtown, that people are looking for something more than an apartment complex. They're looking for something more permanent. I know the Atlantic Lofts made a stab at that a few years ago, but didn't quite get off the ground like they thought, and I think there was some reasons for that. But anyway, I just wanted to throw out that if we haven't looked at that, we should, I think. And we should look at ways we can maybe incentivize a developer to come in here and look at some condominiums in our downtown area.
Yes, sir. We can certainly add that to kind of our analysis. As I kind of mentioned briefly, and I know it's like the thick part of the presentation too, but we may want to budget in future years updating our downtown residential market analysis. We conducted one in 2014 related to the downtown area development plan, and then conducted one in 2018 for the traffic analysis. But having those fresh numbers really will, I think, help put us on the radar for investors along those lines. So I know that they have looked at condos. We do condos. We have them if they're existing.
Sure.
But in the development cycle, really having kind of a very strong apartment demand will, and that vibrant neighborhood that surrounds and develops around those apartments will create, I think, just kind of in a normal conventional sense, a more secure environment for condo investment and development to occur.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Well, thank you very much, Alyssa. Excellent presentation. Kudos to you and your team. Keep doing what you're doing, because we need our downtown. You and I have discussed some things. I really believe that we need to get some smaller businesses in there, boutiques, shops, that type of thing. And I know you're working on it, with these buildings, but you just keep doing what you're doing, and the board really appreciates that great effort you're doing for us. Once you develop that, then we'll probably move you to another part of the city.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes,
Thanks to
ma'am.
my team.
Okay, moving on to item I, identify future agenda items. Members, is there anything that we'd like to add to future agenda? If not, we
Mr.
are
Chairman?
adjourned. Thank you very much.
Meeting adjourned? Okay.
Meeting's adjourned.
All right.
Thank